The Whale stars Brendan Fraser, and I was quite excited to check out this film. But before we get into this review, I do want to say I got a new camera. Yay, I hope it looks better than ever. It's not that much of an upgrade. I got it because I could, not because I necessarily needed it. Anyway, let's talk about The Whale. This was quite the movie. I have actually quite a bit of thoughts on this one, and let's just get off with the obvious. Brendan Fraser's great in it. If he wins the Oscar, I'd be fine with that. I mean, the best actor lineup isn't amazing this year, and I really can't think of anyone else I'd prefer to get it. But at the same time, it's not like I'm like, yeah, Brendan Fraser gets the Oscar, and we'll get into why I'm that way. But I'll just say it has nothing to do with his performance. Let's talk about the rest of the cast. Hong Chow is in it. She's great in the movie. I think she actually might be my favorite performance of this movie, like personally, just because I really connected with her character. I think she was written very well, and her performance was just amazing in general. Sadie Sink is in this movie. She's good in it, but her character is unbearable, and that's where almost all of my problems lie with this film. The center core of this film is about Brendan Fraser trying to reconnect with his daughter, Sadie Sink. She is the most unbearable character I've seen in recent cinema. Like, she is more horrible than some villains. She shows no empathy, and yes, they try to do a counter argument for her, but yeah, but he did this to her, and then this happened, and then when she was only 8 years old, and I get that, I get why she could be mad at him, but I've never seen less empathy from a character. Even I've seen more empathetic villains in movies, and she's not even supposed to be a villain. Like, she's so unbearable. What makes it even more annoying is that it keeps on going to Brendan Fraser, and he's like, ain't she amazing? Like, she just got done cussing you out, saying the most vulgar, most upsetting thing you could possibly ever hear, and she's like, she could be a good writer one day. He's so optimistic, but in his state of mind, I get why he's that way. But as an audience member, I can never get on board with it. I can never get on board with the motivation of trying to make his daughter happy. I never found peace of mind because this movie is so heavy. It's so sad. Obviously, you've seen the trailer. You know this is going to be one of the saddest movies ever. And it is one of the saddest movies ever. When I'm watching this movie, I'm like, let's hope there's some really good catharsis at the end. Make me happy, to uplift me and make me out of this really depressing film that I'm watching. And then the movie ended and it didn't stick the landing at all because Sadie Sink's character is just unredeemable, and they cannot, even at the end, I didn't feel any weight lifted off. I was just kind of okay, the movie's done now. Of course, you've probably seen the clip on Twitter if you're on film Twitter. Yes, that was a little kind of unintentionally funny considering the context of it. It was just a lot of choices here were fairly off-putting to me, even though this was at the same time a really gripping family drama that did not let go of me. I was enthralled from this movie from beginning to end. I was engaged. I didn't get bored. And for this type of movie, this is a movie designed for audience members to go, and it doesn't. It doesn't get you tired. You're always watching something because it's always throwing something at you. And I appreciate that it's trying to do that, but there's moments where it just becomes too much. There's moments in this movie. I don't have any family members that were quite like this situation, but I've seen family members who have passed in a vulnerable state. And so there's moments in this movie where I'll be honest, I almost turned this movie off a couple times because it was a very hard watch. The thing is I appreciate that someone was able to really capture that feel of despair, and that you feel that throughout the whole entire movie. But what bothers me is that there was no catharsis. I didn't feel like anything changed by the end of the movie. Well, stuff happens, obviously, when it comes to character motivation, arcs. I just felt like there was nothing there. I felt like I was just told a bunch of information, shown a bunch of sad stuff, and then the movie ended. It didn't feel like there was a point to telling this story. I don't really like the way that the whole idea with the daughter was treated, and that did bother me. That's why I'm kind of weird about this movie, because I look back on it, I'm that was a good film. It was shot very well. Brendan Fraser is amazing in it. I thought the directing was pretty decent. It's just a lot of these problems but boil down to the script and Sadie Sink's character. I don't know. I feel like I'm just complaining a lot, but I'll say really the cast is amazing, and there's some genuinely amazing scenes here. There's this one scene where Hong Chow is giving a really long monologue to this child that keeps on showing up throughout the movie. He's another character that didn't need to be in the movie, and he's just there to be told information for the audience, and then he doesn't really have a nice ending either. It's another cynical ending. Hong Chow gives him a really long monologue, and that's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. And there's a lot of scenes, particularly almost every single scene with Hong Chow, I'm like, yeah, that's some good stuff. There was this one scene, I can't remember the actress's name, but she played Alpha in The Walking Dead, and she was really good in that one scene, and it's probably my favorite scene of the movie. She plays Brendan Fraser's ex-wife, and they have one scene together, and it's one of the best of the movie. It really just varies of how much the daughter's in it. The daughter's in it, I'm not enjoying the movie because it's just way too cynical and kind of unrealistic to me. And then if it's any other scene with any other character, I'm like, this is good. So it's just kind of all over the place when it comes to my enjoyment. When Sadie Sink is on screen, it's shot very well. Brendan Fraser's great. So it's not that much of a bothersome as a whole, but as I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh my god, I want to slap the crap out of you. The Whale, good movie. I'll give that a thumbs. I'll give it a pass. But there's some major drawbacks, like major drawbacks. But feel like I'm gonna give it when I scored it earlier, I'm like, this is a generous score. I feel like from what I'm saying, it should be lower. But at the same time, I have to remember Brendan Fraser's great in it. It's gripping from beginning to end. It never lets loose. And for this type of movie that takes place almost in one apartment, the whole entire movie, that's an achievement with itself. It looks great. The cast is great. And overall, like, I don't want to say I enjoyed the movie, because I don't know if that's necessarily the word. I appreciate that they were trying to do something, even though I don't think they quite stick to the landing. So I'm going to give The Whale a very generous score, and this is just mostly for Brendan Fraser, Hong Chow, a 7.4 out of 10. I feel like it should be lower, but when I scored it, I was like, I guess the score I'm giving it. Maybe I should rescore it. I don't know. Maybe a rewatch will help, or not help either. Comment down below what you guys thought of The Whale. I know there's some interesting stuff in this film. My enjoyment really did wax and wane as I was watching it, but at the same time, it's never boring. So yeah. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.